This is Shabbos Memvav. We're talking about going out on Shabbos, different things on the body, like a wad in the ear or in the sandal, different things that are partial medical remedies. And then the Gemara says like this. Vatanya, but we learned in the Mishnah, we're going to learn in the next Mishnah, Habana is yoitzais bechute, and girls may go out with strands in their hair. Rabbi Ba b'shem Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi b'shem Rabbi Yehuda says, afilu karoch al tzavarav, even if it's wrapped around their neck. So therefore, if we're not concerned about the girl going out with different strands, clearly she's not going to be concerned about going with a different color hair, because the Gemara was saying that a young girl should not go out with the old person's hair, and an old person should not go with the young person's hair because they'd be ridiculed and take it out on Shabbos. But if it's strands, those clearly don't match, and they're not going to be ridiculed. Rabbi Shmuel b'shem Rabbi Zeir, Rabbi Shmuel b'shem says, Tamam, there the reason is because they couldn't find anything that's similar to the hair, or they didn't want to find something similar, so clearly they got a strand, and if it mismatches, that's fine. It clearly mismatches. But Baram Hacha, but over here, Laite say La Yolda B'Shel's Kana Veloz Kana Shel B'Yalda. A young woman doesn't usually go out with an old woman's hair, an old woman with young person's hair, and therefore they may actually get challenged in public. They may get embarrassed and may want to take it out. But again, with shaitels, it's very common for older women to wear dark colored shaitels, dark brown, dark black, dark red, without any gray hairs in it. Amar Ravu says, Kol shehu toishav b'seira nikra peya. Anything that settles in the hair is called a peya. Rabbi Yanai zeira nafal red udnei, and Rabbi Zeira had a wad in his ear and it fell out. Boy, Shabbos, he wanted to return it on Shabbos. And the Chaverim said, no, you can't do it because it's an ornament, it's jewelry. Clearly, it's not jewelry. So what does it mean it's jewelry? Some say this is a mistake in the wording. But if you want to say this is not a mistake in the wording, that the Gemara is specific and it says jewelry, the problem with jewelry is that you may go to show somebody. That's a problem. That's why you can't go with jewelry, because you may say, oh, look, let me show you. Here, this is my bracelet. This is my ring. That's a problem. So therefore, what they were saying is that now the wad is like jewelry. It came out. It's easy to come out. It's not going to stay in. You might show it to someone saying, oh, could you fix it? Or do you think that I still have pus? Et cetera, or you might come to carry it like jewelry. So it may become like jewelry in that situation where you may come to carry it, and therefore they told not to put it in. Rabbi Yanai Savar Memar Shemen Hu Shehu Marfe. Rabbi Yanai says that you can use oil to heal. The Chamim Savrin Memar Moichu Shehu Marfe. Whereas the Chum say that you hold it in the correct way, and then it heals itself. So some say the oil in the wad is what makes it heal, and the Racham say no, it's the wad itself that makes it heal. Therefore, if you want to put it in, it has to be put in securely, and if it comes out, then you may not be able to put it back in, because now it's something that comes out easily, you may come to carry it, so therefore you should get a new one, a fresh one. V'loi kein Amar Rabbi Yehuda b'shem Rabbi Zeira, but did not Rabbi Yehuda b'shem Rabbi Zeira choshech oznai, that one who feels pain in his ear, noisein shemen al gavei roisho l'leiche, she could put oil on his head and make an incantation. V'vad shlo yitain loi biyad v'loi b'kli. So long as he doesn't do with his hand, doesn't do with the kli. Otherwise, he just poured straight from the bottle onto his head, and then he can move his head around, and he can say whatever incantation he wants, and try down for himself to make himself get better. Rabbi Yanai Savar Meimar Halacha Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yanai holds and says that halacha is like Rabbi Yosi. How does that make a difference? Because of Chavrai Savrin Meimar ain't halacha Rabbi Yosi. But now the Kaz is holding that the halacha is not like Rabbi Yosi. So V'loi kein Amar Rav Kahana Rabbi Chia Barashi B'Shem Rav Halacha Rabbi Yosi. So they say the wording halacha quotes Rabbi Yosi, and Rabbi Yosi is saying that you're allowed to, in a later Mishnah, you're allowed to handle pot covers that do not have handles on them. You're allowed to handle them directly. You don't have to have them through a handle. So therefore, the wad, you're allowed to handle directly also. You don't have to have it through a utensil. It's not itself not muksa. Rabbi Yanai Savar, Meimar Adam Loi Asu Oisa Kikarka. Rabbi Yanai holds that it does not equate the status of a person with that of land. The Chavrai Svarin Meimar Adam Kikarka, and his colleagues hold that it's correct that a person with status, the person is comparable to land. So let's see what it's talking about. So V'lai Kain Amar Rab Zera. Did not Rab Zera say the Asalai Rab Chia Rabashi Beis yad lemoich be'oznoi, a handle for the wad, you can make a handle for the wad in his ear. Sovereign Maimar Adam Bikarkahu. That therefore all hold that it's correct to say that the status of a person is comparable to that of land. The Chaini, and still you suggest that Rabbi Yanai's view that the wad may be handled even though it lacks handle. The Gemara is saying that a person is not like a land, because he's saying that you could then hold a pot cover and you don't have to have it with a handle. So if the pot cover is like movable object and then you can cover it. So too, a person's like a pot, he's a movable object, and he can go ahead and cover it. He doesn't have to use a handle. So that's how the Gemara is interpreting this, saying that a person is sort of like a pot. That it's the same similarity with the pot. Just like the pot cover can be handled without a handle, so to the wad could be handled without a handle if you hold like that view. Ella Kani, rather, this is the correct explanation. Yanai is like this: Savar Meimar Ein Shacheach Umahalech Behen Arba Amos. Rabbi Yanai says that a person will not forget and walk Arba Amos. The Chavai Svarin Meimar Shechech Hu Mahalech Behen Arba Amos, but they are concerned that he will walk Arba Amos. Amar Ramana says Shmoim Tam Min Rabbi Shmuel b'Shem Rabbi Zeira. I heard a reason according to Rabbi Shmuel in the name of Rabbi Zeira. But I no longer know what I heard. So my Kedain, what is in the rule according to the Chachamim? Well, what should we pass him like? Rabbi Yisrael, he says, Mistavra b'Shem shel zahav. It's logical regarding to a gold tooth. Sheshamda la b'yoker, for which she paid a high price. Loy tasting not go out. So di nafka machazir lei, because it falls out, she want to put it back. Shane, veves ma islach, but let's say a wooden tooth. That one's not expensive, and she doesn't care if it falls out. She gets to get a new one. So therefore, she let it go out with it on Shabbos, even if it's not a crown, even if it's not inserted. He mazahavsa meimar legavra aved li chayri. So she'd be ashamed to go back to the carpenter to say, to make me another tooth. I lost it. He nafla machazrele. It falls out, she'll pick it up and she'll carry it. So things that easily come out, so then they should not go out on Shabbos. Therefore, it's like this. Again, the wad, if the wad is stuck in the ear and it's doing its purpose, you could go out with it on Shabbos. If it comes out on Shabbos, now it's one that's loose. It will not stay back if you put it back into the ear. Therefore, you should not put it back on Shabbos and get a new one. That's what it looks like. The Gemara is trying to say, soif kol soif. Rabbi Yasov, Rabbi Ami, Chad Chosha, Sheina, Vahiri, Lechavre. One felt pain in his teeth and his colleagues ruled for him. Chad Chosha, Shodnei, Vahiri, Lechavre. And one felt pain in his hair and his colleagues ruled for him. Both of them said that you could get healed on Shabbos. V'lo Yodin Ma Amar Dama Amar. And I don't know what was said to one, what was said to the other, what healing process each one had, but they were allowed to for those things, for a tooth and for an ear. Min mam the Rebbe Yasa Sha'al the Asnai the Rebbe Yaakov Baracha. And for that which Rabbi Yasa asked Rabbi Yaakov Baracha's doctor, Ma Avdin Sheina Rabbi Yaakov Baracha Chavera, how are the teeth of my friend Rabbi Yaakov Baracha doing? Min Ma Deloy Amar Rabbi Yasi La, but Min Yomi, since he did not go ahead and tell the doctor to stop treating him, Hadihu Dahire Lishina. You can deduce that Rabbi Yasa also agrees that you're allowed to treat teeth on Shabbos. Rabbi Yanai Pasar La Bulgarian Malach. Rabbi Yanai interprets that only the end part of the Mishnah is saying that those things you can't go out with. It's referring to the that has to be done before Shabbos is the salt and the peppercorn over there. But for Chavrai Pasar and Lei Al Kulan, but it says on everything, even the wad, even the sandal. But that includes also the applicator or the pad. And when a woman's in her cycle, she needs more than one on Shabbos. It's not possible to put one before Shabbos and let it last the entire Shabbos. It's completely unsanitary. It's even worse, so she does that. So clearly, it can't be those things are that you have to have for Shabbos. So this is probably what it's saying. So Rabbi Yanai explains these things don't have to be done before Shabbos. Only the salt and the peppercorn, everything else could be done on Shabbos, and if it fell out, then you could also try to put it in back on Shabbos so long as it's secure. Or, secure. And according to the other ones, they say it has to be done before Shabbos, meaning if you're going to go out on fresh on Shabbos, it has to be secure before Shabbos. And if it came out, or if you need to change it, then you need to change to a new one that will be secure. You can't put the old one back in. So the machlokes is really putting back the old one back in. Clearly, the woman and her pad were not putting the old one back in. But let's say with something in the sandal, if you wanted to put it back in, once it comes loose, then you have to put a new one according to them. Zokt halacha vav. You could go out with a coin onto a tzninis, which is a type of foot injury. Have a nice and girls go out with strands tied in their hairs. Afilu and even with splinters that are in their ears. So they're training, they're getting their ears pierced. They don't have jewelry yet, so they go little splinters to keep the hole open. RVIs, Yotzais, Rulais, and Arabian women can go out with wrapped headcloth. If you live in the Arabian world, or if you have the Arabian custom, then you can go out with the headcloth. What would be nice, Peprupais, and the median women go out with fasteners. The Chol Adam, and every person, Elosh Dibrachamim, but really everyone can go out with these things, with the fastener or with the hair covering, but it does more prevalent over there. That's what Rabbanan said they could do it. If you have that custom, go ahead and follow the custom. Yaitzim Besela Sha'al Hatzines. You're going to go to sell a coin that's on Hatzines. So this is Podagra. Again, it's a foot injury. Rabbi Acha B'Shem Rabba Rav Mamo. He says, afilu tas, even a sheet of metal. Not just enough to be a coin, it can be even a sheet of metal. Habana is yoitzais bechutin. Girls go out with strands in their hair. Rabbi Ba B'Shem, Rabbi Huda. He's afilu kuruch altzavar. It also goes wrapped around their neck. We're not concerned about that. Abba Barav, Machri L'Shmuel, Beret, La the Kabel, Alai. Do not accept the mission to say like this. Ella Aval Loy B'Kisma's name. Really, they cannot go out the splinters. He argues as the mission saying really cannot go out with the splinters because they may come out. But really, if you're training your ear, you're not taking the splinters for any reason. And if it's put in there to keep the hole open, it's going to stay there. And it's not exact. You want to argue that it's a burden. Okay, so it's not going to take it out, but now it's a burden. Now it's a burden on Shabbos because not really wearing it. But the problem is you need it there to keep the hole open. So it's most likely the Mishnah is probably correct and it's not a burden. But he's trying to say that even though you have a good reason for keeping the hair open, it's still, that's not the way you wear things, through a hole. We learned before, if you put a hole through the nose of a animal or through the horn of an animal, that could be considered a burden for the animal. So he's trying to learn also that there'll be a burden for a person also. But if it's a small splinter, and it's just holding the hold open, it's hard to say that'll be a burden, and that they're actually carrying it somewhere with intention to carry it somewhere. Kaini Masnisa is the correct reading of Mishnah. The RVI Yoitza Israelites, that Arabian women go out with their wrapped, and Midyanis go out with the fasteners. Zakt the next Mishnah, Alacha Zayin. Pyrefes ala Evan, the woman may fasten with a stone, Vial Ogez, or with a nut, Vial Hamat Bea, or with a coin, or Bavad Shaloi, Tifraif, Baschila, B'Shabbos, provided it does not do it initially in Shabbos. The fastening has to be done before Shabbos, and then it can be worn on Shabbos. Tani was talking about Bryce, Rav Shimon Gamaliel, Rav Shimon says, Lo Yishanu Ella Matbeya ve'Evan. Really, it's not talking about except for a coin or stone. Things that are muksa, those you have to be fastened before Shabbos. But if it's a non-muksa thing, then it can be done on Shabbos, as long as you're obviously not attaching it, you're not sewing it, so that you're not worried about muksa.